Recently, the government of India has stated that India ranks third globally in startup ecosystem and also in terms of number of unicorns. It means there are a lot of startups are going in India, and also there are big companies arising like unicorns company. Recently, you may have heard about coaching institute. I am not remembering that name. Physics wala, that was the name of coaching. So what I have heard about that, he's the one 101 unicorn company of the India. So let's know that what is startups and unicorns. It means what is the basic difference between startups and unicorns. The term startup refers to a company in the first stages of operations. Startups are founded by one or more entrepreneurs who want to develop a product or service for which they believe there is demand. It means these companies generally start with high costs and limited revenue, which is why they look for capital from a variety of sources such as venture capitalists and etc. So, in general, startup can be said as any company which is in its initial stages and all. But it means they are that all company which is in initial stage and are struggling and making revenue and have limited revenue and have high costs is called a startup. A unicorn is any privately owned firm with a market capitalization of more than USD 1 billion. It denotes new entities dedicated to offering creative solutions and new business models, among other things. It means there are several categories like fintech, edtech, business to business, and and a recent new type of businesses like you may have heard about coaching institute, what I have discussed earlier also, physics wala. It is a unicorn company. So there is a lot of different startups and unicorn companies are growing in India currently. So let's move to see the status of startups in India. India has become the third largest startup ecosystem in the world after the US and China. Currently, India is home to as many as 75,000 startups. 49% of startups are from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Tier 2, Tier 3 and cities means there are three types of cities like Tier 1, Tier 2 and Tier 3. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 represents only the developed, less developed and more less developed cities. So it is according to the development of any city. So there are currently 105 unicorns, out of which 44 are born in 2021 and 19 in 2022. So it can be said that in last 2 years there are more startups and more unicorn companies in India. Startups are also emerging in the fields like IT, agriculture, aviation, education, energy, health, and space sectors, etc. So these startups have some growth drivers like government support. India has increased the gross expenditure on R&D more than 3 times in the last few years. India has over 5 lakh R&D personnel, the number that has shown a 40-50% increase in the last 8 years. In the last 8 years, women's participation in extramural and R&D has also doubled. Another aspect of this is adoption of digital services. The pandemic accelerated the adoption of digital services by consumers, helping startups and new age ventures build tech focused business of customers. Online services for work, online services and work from home culture. So there is one another aspect of this is the many Indians moved to online services, exploring a host of services ranging from food delivery and edutech and to a grocery. So this work from home culture helped increase the number of startups, user base, and expanded their businesses expansion plans and attracting investors. So these are some of the major growth drivers that has supported unicorn and startups in India. And the major one was growth driver was government support, National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations Nidhi, and another is Startup India Action Plan, and the third is ranking of states on support to startup ecosystems RSSE. So these are some government initiatives by which government had started to support startups, like Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. It aims to provide financial assistance to startups for proof to concept, prototype development, product trials, market entry, and commercializations, and are different things. This accelerated development of the startup ecosystem needs significant funding, and therefore the role of venture capital and angel investors are critical. With the recent events creating capital distrust in China, the world's attention is sharpening on the lucrative tech opportunities in India and the value that could be created. For this, India requires decisive policy measures in addition to the Digital India initiative and all. So these are some of the basic things, and which is very important for our country in these situations, and the startups and some different type of unicorn companies really can help our country. So that's it. We will meet in next video. Thank you.